Hi, I'm Jonathan Weinberg, and this is Drawing with Fountain Pens. Today I'm going to talk about a pen that goes back to several years that I bought, one of the very first Chinese pens that I ever bought, which is the Wing Sung 699. What got my attention was this beautiful blue color. At that time, I don't think I had a Pilot Custom 823, which is this is a almost exact clone of that pen, except for the fact that it's blue. I have the cloned brown version of the Pilot Custom 823 as well. Anyway, I bought this pen several years ago because it got such great reviews, and it was a complete lemon. It completely fell apart, and for a little while soured my opinion of Chinese pens. I couldn't understand how other people thought it was so terrific. I think it was, at the time, it just was bad luck. Anyway, the years went by, and I just always have been attracted by this blue color, but not having a pen exactly like it that could write and work the same way. I finally decided to try again. And the other reason I decided to try again is because it now comes with a Fude Nib. I don't think that was available at the time. And that's a bent nib that I think is really fun for drawing. And I'm just going to demonstrate that. I also, at the time, got, actually by a mistake, got the brown version of the pen. This is the version of the pen that is the original, the Pilot Custom 823. Spoiler alert, I think the Chinese pen is fine. I think it seems, to write fairly well. I think in general Chinese nibs have gotten so much better, but it isn't anything as good as the original Pilot pen, and that really is all about the nib. The Pilot Custom 823 has a gorgeous, beautiful nib that really makes it worth it. When the Wing Sung pens came in the mail, they were wrapped in a lot of bubble wrap, safely, but not in a box, but it came with this a box folded, so you could have a box with it. The box, oddly enough, though, is more like a Lamy Safari box than it is like, it doesn't look anything like a Pilot box. So here is the Pilot Custom 823 with, on either side are the Wing Sung clone pens. You'll notice one big difference is the clip. The Wing Sung 699 has a clip that kind of bends up here, but it doesn't have the ball. The ball is a nice feature. It kind of helps protect your shirt pocket. And I also noticed that on the blue version of the Wing Sung, this is the one with the Fude Nib 699, there is a little logo here, so that's another difference. Now, one of the things that made this pen so appealing to people is the fact that it's a vacuum filler. For those of you not familiar, the vacuum filler works by you pull up the plunger and then you push it down when it's in the ink, and then the barrel here fills with ink, supposedly. I found that you really need a lot of ink in your ink well or your ink bottle for this to work well, and it can be a little tricky, particularly if you're new to it. The other feature of the pen is that it has really two barrels. It has this little front barrel, and when you have this turned all the way down, that closes the main barrel from the front barrel, and supposedly when you're flying and there's difference in air pressure, that is a good feature because it keeps a lot of ink from pouring out and ruining your bag, etc., etc. I always carry my fountain pens in a plastic bag just in case. And actually, I have not had tremendous problems with them leaking anyway, but that is something that is important to think about. Because of the fact it has this little barrel, and the ink has to go from the main barrel to the little barrel, when the plunger is pushed all the way down or screwed all the way down, it'll stop pouring ink into the nib. So you have to remember, if you're going to write for a while, to always have the plunger up a little bit and open, otherwise it will stop flowing ink. So that's a disadvantage of this kind of pen. When even when the Custom A23 came out, this kind of vacuum filler was very expensive and wasn't available on a lot of pens, but increasingly it is available on a lot of relatively inexpensive Chinese pens, other kinds of pens. So it's not as rare. I prefer piston fillers, traditional piston fillers and converters to this way of getting ink into a pen, but it's fun, and I think a lot of fountain pen aficionados like it. The one thing that worries me is that it seems to me that the Wingsung 699, particularly the blue version that I like so much, is a little more fragile, a little thinner plastic, and I think that when you put all this pressure onto the pen through this vacuum plunger system, it worries me a little bit, particularly given my experience years ago where the pen completely fell apart. My custom 823s, I have two of them, have held up very well, and I've had no problem. They also are fairly easy to disassemble. The Pilot version is. I have not tried to disassemble the Wingsung pens, but I have a feeling that that's probably true too of these pens. And so when you disassemble them, they're relatively easy to clean. And that's not true of a piston filler in general. Well, not all piston fillers. So I'm thinking you can take apart the Pelican, I guess. It depends on the piston filler, but not, let's say, the Mont Blanc piston filler pen is not easy to take apart, and you need a special tool to do that, etc. So anyway, the ability to clean these pens is a good thing. I think the other great thing is having the Fude Nib on this blue pen, because I really enjoy drawing with it. Not so much writing. It's not a great nib, I think, for writing, but it's a great nib for drawing because it allows you to get a variety of line widths. It's almost like a brush. The nib on the Pilot Custom A23 is gold, 14 karat gold, and is remarkably smooth, particularly in the broad version of this pen. It doesn't particularly have a lot of flex to it, but it still is very pleasing to write with, and so the Custom A23 is one of my favorite pens, and that's a big difference. Although the medium nib on the brown Wingsung 699 does write quite nicely, and I think is equivalent to a Jovo nib. So Chinese nibs have gotten better and better. So how does it write? This is the Wingsung 699. This is the Fude Nib, or Fude Nib, and I think this is Waterman Tender Purple. And this is Rhodia paper. It actually writes quite nicely. It's smooth. It's just very thick. So it's like a marker. And here you can see what makes this so interesting. Here it's thick. And the more you move the pen up, the thinner the line is. So if I go way up, I can get quite thin. If I go way down, I get thick. So this is great for filling in things, and it's like a brush. And this is remarkably smooth. And impressed by how the pen can keep up with pouring all this ink onto the page. And so when you just sort of draw with it, it really does have different line widths. And this is not by putting pressure on the pen, but by going up and down and get really thick. And then eventually, if I go too much, it starts to skip. But it really is very versatile and it's terrific. So I strongly recommend the nib on this pen, and and I love the blue color. For comparison's sake, here is the Wing Sung 699 medium with rhodia paper. This is diamine, I think it's Scotch brown. It might be sepia. The nib does not have much flex. It's fine. You know, I think I was a little too optimistic about it. It's not as smooth as I would like. You probably could get it to be smoother. It's more like a Japanese medium. But it's okay. And just to, again, show the difference, this is the medium. It has no variety. This is the Fude. Thick, thin, like a brush. So you get all this variety with the nib. And actually, surprisingly, this is a much smoother nib than the medium is.